on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. I am JD from New York, and I got a little bit extra for you, bringing you the latest in WWE news and rumors. We're not actually going to start off with WWE news. We're going to start off with AEW news, and this is a big one, and this one is going to debunk all of the rumors going around lately about Thunder Rosa. Now, Dave Meltzer reported that the reason why she dropped the NWA Women's World Championship to Serena Deeb was because there would be interest from WWE. Now, AEW obviously is interested. I'm surprised a lot of people aren't interested in bringing in Thunder Rosa for their promotions, for their women's division. But this spread like wildfire. We even talked about it, Jesse and I, on AEW Dynamite and the post show right here last night on Off the Script. I now have new information that should put everybody that is a fan of Thunder Rosa to rest. She is not going anywhere. She addressed the rumors on social media several times during the day yesterday, with this one pretty much playing into the rumors, and it was done in a jovial way. This was Thunder Rosa on social media.
Hey, dirt sheets, what's next for me? AEW, WWE, or NWA? I don't know.
Now, clearly, this is playing into all of the rumors circulating about Thunder Rosa, and honestly, she's playing the game correctly. She's bringing awareness to what she's doing. She's getting everybody wondering and excited about the next move that she's going to make, whether it's with WWE, AEW, or NWA, or none of them, actually. She could end up going to Impact for all we know, which I think would be a terrible decision, but that is up to her to decide. Now, if you guys look at that clip, and please get your minds out of the gutter, okay? If you guys look at the clip, you would see that she's possibly training for an MMA fight. Now, I don't know if she has an MMA fight coming up or not. I don't really know. I don't follow that aspect of her career, but she could be fighting. She could not be fighting. By the looks of the clip on Twitter, it looks to be that she's training for something that is not professional wrestling. So she's playing into all of the rumors out there on social media land. Now, obviously she's playing the game the right way, but if we look at Billy Corgan, who owns the NWA, he said this on Instagram when fans obviously started getting worried about all of Thunder Rosa's activity on Twitter and all of the rumors. He actually held a Q&A on Instagram via his stories on Instagram, and one fan was lucky enough to get an answer from the owner of the NWA, Billy Corgan, in reference to Thunder Rosa's status right now and where she is going to end up. He says this, and I quote, "No, you have to love the press and the media reports that don't contact the company she is under contract to, but instead listen to someone who has my email address but doesn't write back and ask. She's under contract through 2021, and there's a reason for that. It's called excellence and faith." And that was an answer to the question, is Thunder Rosa leaving us? Say it ain't so. So there you go, folks. Debunked. From the mouth of Billy Corgan himself, the man who owns NWA, I don't think we should be talking about where Thunder Rosa is going. For all we know, she could have eyes still on the NWA Women's World Championship, and we could see Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa in AEW for that very title. So I think we should stop talking about what Thunder Rosa is going to do next. I'm sure whatever decision she makes, we are all going to support her on that. We all have our opinions on the matter. If you guys want a more in-depth analysis about Jesse and I's opinion on this, go and check the AEW Dynamite review last night on the post show right here on Off the Script. But there you go, man. Right from the owner of NWA, Thunder Rosa is going nowhere until at least 2021. If there's one thing that has hurt NXT in a laundry list of things that have hurt NXT, COVID-19 would be up there for sure. And it's absolutely killed the brand as far as energy that we remember NXT having. Now, I watched Halloween Havoc last night. I thought it was a fantastic show for 2 hours. I did not get bored at all. I thought Triple H and his team really just knocked it out of the park, giving you that sense and feel of Halloween Havoc, man. Shotzi Blackheart did a fantastic job as the host. The matches were great. Io and Candice, Johnny and Damian Priest, even the cinematic match with Dexter Lumis and my boy Cameron Grimes! Cameron Grimes! Great match! I really enjoyed myself, man. I really loved what NXT did. It finally felt like an NXT episode of old. The energy was there, and I loved it. I thought it was great. Now, I'm still not doing a review on the show because I'd rather do other things, but if you guys missed it, I urge you to go out and watch. And it makes me wonder why this wasn't a pay-per-view for the main roster, but I understand why, and it's something that Vince McMahon didn't create. Now, I mentioned NXT and I mentioned COVID-19. There was another outbreak in the WWE Performance Center, or the Capitol Wrestling Center. Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer is reporting that there's been another outbreak in WWE. This would be the third reported outbreak in the company, and it's all stemming from NXT. By the way, NXT not being in the Survivor Series has nothing to do with the outbreaks of COVID. I want to dead that right now. You might have some fucking UK geeks out there reporting that type of thing. It is false. The reason why NXT isn't in the Survivor Series is because they failed to generate any interest for the brand, and WWE doesn't want to waste their time this year for the Survivor Series. In fact, I think it's probably the best move that WWE and the Survivor Series can make. Now, Meltzer notes that this outbreak was at the Performance Center, aka the Capitol Wrestling Center, and the same building that is now hosting the weekly NXT shows live on the USA Network. The outbreak reportedly happened on Friday, and people who were there were asked to quarantine, so contact tracing could be done. Meltzer added that there are reports coming from WWE that state that some people scheduled for Halloween Havoc had to miss the show. Now, it was reported as of this morning that only one reported name was scheduled to be on the show and missed the show, and that is Indy Hartwell. If you guys remember last night, if you watched, Johnny Gargano was aided by somebody in a Scream mask. Candice LeRae was also aided. She didn't win the championship from Io, but was also aided in that match by the same individual in the Scream mask. That was supposed to be Indy Hartwell. Nobody knows who was under the mask last night, but it might end up still being revealed to be Indy Hartwell of NXT. A WWE source added that nobody that is an NXT regular has tested positive. However, a negative test would not give someone clearance to appear on the show, since a quarantine would also apply to those who may have been in contact with someone who tested positive and negative, and a negative test could be positive tomorrow. So WWE obviously is taking every precaution here possible. There was even a tweet from Bronson Reed, and he was not very happy about the situation. Clearly, he says this on social media, and I quote, "If I learned anything from this pandemic, it's that a lot of people are real selfish pieces of trash." End quote. Now, it was reported that the outbreak started by an NXT Performance Center coach. Now, I don't know if they were taking proper precautions. I don't know if they were wearing masks. I don't know if they weren't wearing masks. I don't know if they were abiding by social distancing guidelines. I don't know. I don't know. I think this is just going to be the norm moving forward. Everybody is going to get sick. Now, there was a report several weeks ago that there are people in NXT, whether it's on the coaching staff or the actual roster of recruits there inside the Performance Center, that there are conspiracy theorists there are anti-vaxxers, there are anti-maskers on the WWE NXT recruitment roster. So I don't know if that is playing a factor into everything, and people are walking around without masks or walking around without the social distancing guidelines in effect. I don't know. But I think at the end of the day, you're going to be hearing a lot more of this type of thing. People are going to get sick. It's not the end of the world. People are going to get sick. You will survive. If you are a healthy male or female, you will survive this. The shitty thing is, if it happens to somebody on the active roster and they're in the middle of a storyline, you're going to be self-quarantining for 14 days. And WWE can ill afford to have that happen. So people are going to get sick, folks. This is going to be in the news. This is the norm. WWE should just really come down on the fines for people not wearing masks. And I think if everybody's wearing a mask, I think it's an easier blow when someone gets sick as compared to when someone's not wearing a mask and then they are pointed at as far as being blamed for starting an outbreak inside the Performance Center. So this is going to be the norm. Everyone is going to get sick. On the latest episode of what Teabag, aka T-Bar, of Retribution said on social media, we're going to go over what he said, but if you guys watched Monday Night Raw and looking at the ratings, oh man, nobody watched Monday Night Raw and nobody cares about Retribution, man. I mean, how the fuck could you? Fucking killed him off. Nobody gives a shit, Bruce. Just end it, please, and save what you have in Retribution with everybody there. Talented men and women. Please. So T-Bar, after tapping out to Bobby Lashley in 2.6 seconds the week prior from the Hurt Lock, we had an elimination match on Monday Night Raw, 3 weeks before Survivor Series, with two teams that have been feuding for the last 2 months. A Survivor Series match 3 weeks before the Survivor Series, man. I don't know on what fucking planet somebody's watching that, and to you, that makes sense. But, I mean, to each his own, man. That's why I'm here, and you're over there. We had these two guys get counted out. T-Bag and Bobby Lashley fought into the blackness of the WWE Thunderdome. You like that, right? Yeah, I know. So they got double counted out. I guess, in a way, Bruce wanted to make them both look strong. So T-Bag took to social media, and he says this to Bobby Lashley. He doesn't care about who wins and who loses. Clearly not. I mean, look at the fucking group. They haven't won a goddamn fucking match since they've been on Monday Night Raw. The only one that has a pinfall victory in Retribution is fucking Slapnuts. I don't know what the fuck that says about the group, but my God, man, just end it. T-Bag says this, and I quote,
"Almighty my ass, you like to fight, Bobby. Good, because I don't care about match results or paper championships. I'm going to make it my business to hurt you." You pathetic incels and parasites. I am T-Bag of Retribution, the same group that got fed to the fiend Bray Wyatt and was destroyed in the snap of a finger on Monday Night Raw only 2 weeks ago. Now, he's talking about paper championships and he's talking about he doesn't care about match results, clearly. Really?
Is that better? Jesus Christ, man. I should be leading Retribution. Never mind this fucking clown. Anyway, I don't even know why this is fucking news. Why am I putting this in the video today? I just wanted to do the fucking voice. There you go. We got news on Braun Strowman and the Strowman Express. Whee! Woo! I run fast, man! Braun Strowman. He runs fast. I'm not sure if you guys realize that. Braun Strowman says he will never wrestle for anyone but WWE. Really? Oh my God, what a way to fucking crush my dreams, Strowman. Can we get you on the unemployment line? I think you'd fare better over there. The last 2 years have seen a lot of people leave WWE for much better creative decisions. With the introduction of AEW, there hasn't been a time with more options for talent in many, many years. However, one person is not looking to jump ship, and that is Braun Strowman. Strowman recently revealed that he has no plans to ever leave WWE. In an interview with Lillian Garcia on Chasing Glory, Strowman said it was out of gratitude for Vince McMahon that he will not wrestle elsewhere. This is the quote on the podcast with Lillian from Strowman, and I quote, "The day I take my wrestling boots off for WWE is the day I stop wrestling." Can we get that sped up about 5 or 6 years, please? I will not wrestle for anyone else. I've been given an opportunity from Vince McMahon and WWE at life that I would never have gotten elsewhere. I told him a long time ago, the day I take my boots off for you, I'm done, and I mean that. End quote. Now, clearly things can change. Somebody can offer him a tremendous amount of money to go elsewhere. Strowman seems to be set in his ways, considering his past comments on independent wrestling. It would appear that that direction would not be one he would take. So, Strowman, folks, Strowman, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be in the WWE until the day that he never gets into the WWE Hall of Fame. Now, I'm probably bullshitting you there. I'm probably fibbing you. He'll probably end up getting in. Everybody fucking gets in. If Vince McMahon and Braun Strowman have that type of relationship, more than likely he'll get in. I'm just joking. It's in the news. I mean, I don't care either way where Strowman goes, if he stays, if he goes, if he retires, whatever. I don't care about Braun Strowman, but I will say this about Strowman. Loyalty is a very difficult thing to come by. I joke about Strowman, and I do the Strowman Express and the whole runs fast thing, and I fell out of my fucking chair last week on Monday Night Raw and the post show. Whatever the case may be, loyalty is a very difficult thing to find in somebody, and I actually commend Braun Strowman for wanting to stay with WWE and pay back what Vince McMahon has given him in a way where he would never turn his back on Vince. So I find that to be of a human quality that I think more people should, at the end of the day, possess. Now, we all know WWE could be very petty. Petty Bruce, and Vince No Plan McMahon could be both very petty. And we've seen that on Monday Night Raw with Lana going through a announce table 6 weeks in a row. I don't know why they think this is going to make her supposedly into a sympathetic babyface, but here we are. Talking about goddamn Lana as a babyface that we want to see more of on Monday Night Raw because we feel sorry for her by going through a fucking table for 6 weeks in a row now. Sure. The reason why it's being done was because her husband went over to the enemy team. That's why. And speaking of that enemy team, Miro comments on WWE putting Lana through a table 6 weeks in a row. He spoke to Inside the Ropes. Miro ended up opening up about WWE booking his wife Lana the way that they have been on Monday night. This conversation took place prior to her entry in the 2020 Women's Raw Survivor Series team and her 6th table spot this past week on Monday Night Raw. So all of this was said before that actually happened, but he says, and I quote, "I don't book their shows. I have no idea. All I know is that she's most likely tougher than anybody else on their roster because clearly that's the first time in history that's been done. And every single time she gets the fuck up and keeps going. You know, she doesn't say no. She doesn't say, I don't want to do that. She doesn't sell. She's going out there and doing her job to perfection." Well, I think we're stretching that a little bit there, Miro, really. So, because you can see that in the ring, when she gets that time, you can see who's who and who's been working and who's been sitting on their asses the whole time. And I'm so freaking proud of CJ, man, because she's proven that she's most likely the most talented and underrated person in the entire wrestling community. End quote. Lana ended up getting on the Survivor Series team. Lana had a championship match against Asuka. WWE continues to put her through a table because in some weird, sick and twisted, bizarre way, they think this is going to make her into a sympathetic babyface. How that's going to work out, I'll tell you right now, it's going to fail. Nobody gives a shit about Lana if she's not on TikTok. Now, with that out of the way, he's not going to say anything demeaning about Lana. Clearly, he's not going to say anything negatively about the way that she's booked, because if it gets word back to WWE, or if word gets back to WWE, then we might see Lana go through not only the American announce table, but the Spanish announce table at Survivor Series as well, doubling up on the fucking amount of time she's gone through a goddamn table. He will not do anything to jeopardize her already shaky push on Monday night. Now, Miro actually also talked about Brock Lesnar, and if AEW can benefit from having Lesnar under contract. Now, I don't think Lesnar in AEW is a good business move. I think Lesnar in AEW goes against legitimately everything the company stands for and what they started out with their mission statement. Miro thinks AEW could benefit from having Lesnar under contract, but he doesn't think that they need Brock Lesnar. He says, and I quote, "I mean, Brock is great. Brock, whatever he does, he's an entity, right? He's the show himself. He can be his own show himself. Would we benefit from it? I absolutely think we would. Do we need him? Absolutely not." And I stand with Miro on that. They could use him, but do they need him? Absolutely not. I like the way AEW is going about things, and I like the way that they're building new talent. The future of the company is in their hands, and they're doing everything right with that. Why bring in somebody that's only going to push everybody back a step or two? I stand with Miro on that, and as far as Lana goes, he's not going to say anything demoralizing or demeaning about the way she's being used on Monday Night Raw because he doesn't want anything worse to happen to his wife on Monday night. Have you guys ever wondered what happened to Chelsea Green? Chelsea Green is very good, very talented, a huge asset to WWE. They brought her in. She's engaged to Zack Ryder, aka Matt Cardona. Why isn't WWE using what they have in Chelsea Green right now? She has not wrestled since May 27th, and she wants to fix that. She actually tweeted on social media that very same thing. "I have not wrestled since May 27th." End quote. WWE is out of their minds. Green was called up to the main roster. If you guys did not know that or were aware of that, she got called up to the main roster in December. Why? I don't know. But she didn't stay there. She went back down to NXT for a short program with the Robert Stone brand. She wasn't the only person called up around that time as well. Vanessa Bourne was called up. Both of them, in fact, were rumored to be in Retribution. Jessie Kamea of NXT was called up to the main roster to fill in for some of those female spots in Retribution during all of those big beatdown attacks that they had on Raw and SmackDown. Paul Heyman wanted to use Chelsea Green and Vanessa Bourne on Monday Night Raw while he was in charge as executive director of Monday Night Raw. Unfortunately, his tenure as Raw executive director failed, and they fired him, and his projects were mostly forgotten about. Some thought that Green and Bourne could have been in Retribution, like I mentioned, and that did not happen. Good. They actually got away lucky with that one. Chelsea Green's name was thrown around in the early planning sessions of the WWE draft as well, but nothing came of that either. They discussed a lot of names, but nobody from NXT was called up during the draft, and people still backstage in WWE, including Green and Bourne, they have hope that they will be on the main roster sooner rather than later. Nothing is happening anytime soon. It's also never a good idea to encourage that type of situation to happen without something legitimately being planned for all involved before they make their debut. Now, why is Chelsea Green not being used? Yes, it's easy to think that Bruce is in charge now and everything on his list of Paul Heyman wants and things that Paul Heyman wanted to do. He looked at that when he took over Monday Night Raw and said, "Nah, we're not gonna do any one of these things. Goodbye." He's going to go and completely ruin the show worse than anybody has before him. And he wants to leave Monday Night Raw in a complete mess where nobody would be able to fix it. That's exactly what he's doing. He's fucking doing that to perfection. It's easy to think that they got rid of Paul Heyman's ideas. Fine. But you guys want the legitimate reason? If Chelsea Green was called up to the main roster on the same brand that her fiance was on, you don't think people backstage know that Chelsea Green is engaged to Matt Cardona? Where did Matt Cardona end up going? Now, he's not with AEW per se, but that's the first promotion he showed up in, and he was on national television in a storyline with best friend Cody Rhodes. The Rhodes family, who, by the way, hooked him up with Chelsea Green. You don't think people in WWE know that? They might be taking it out on the main roster right now on Chelsea Green because of her relationship with Matt Cardona. I would not be surprised if that was the case. You mix that with the issue of Bruce eliminating and deleting everything that Paul Heyman wanted to do and the pettiness that he somehow has against Paul Heyman. This is a recipe for disaster. So you guys want to know why Chelsea Green is not being used? You just roll those two things up into one big ball, and there is your answer. Speaking about Matt Cardona, Chelsea Green in a modern-day love tale because the Rhodes family hooked them up, and the Rhodes family encouraged Cardona to message Chelsea Green, being that Chelsea is very good friends with Brandy Rhodes. Chelsea Green actually revealed some of the beginning DMs because Zack Ryder, a.k.a. Matt Cardona, slipped into those DMs, bro. So she showcased some of the DMs that Matt Cardona first sent her, and this is what they say, and I quote, "I'm not a big DM person. My number is so-and-so. I feel like it'd be more appropriate to give you that if it wasn't 2:15 a.m., but it is what it is." And then he follows up with a second message because in the first message, he gave her the wrong phone number. "Actually, that's my number from 5 years ago. Ha ha ha, it's so-and-so." And then she replies, "All right, I think I'll text you at an appropriate time. Good night," with 2 black heart emojis. So there you go, folks. The modern-day love tale of Chelsea Green and Matt Cardona. We can learn a lesson, man. Don't be afraid to slip into those DMs. We all know WWE wants to make WrestleMania a tremendous show next year. We're already hearing rumors of Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar coming back, John Cena, The Undertaker, The Rock, you name it. Vince McMahon is going to stop at nothing to give everybody a WrestleMania that we were not able to get this year. Now, with the Roman Reigns storyline being so important to WWE TV and being the best thing on TV, the tribal chief, the head of the storyline right now is Roman Reigns going through family, telling everybody that he's the head of the household. The seat at the very end of the table is Roman Reigns. He is the front and center, only one that matters in the family. Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Alpha, Sika, all families involved right now. Does The Rock get involved? Does The Rock get involved? What if WWE can't get The Rock? Now, clearly The Rock makes the most sense. Clearly a match between Roman Reigns and The Rock at WrestleMania is WrestleMania worthy. Clearly WWE has teased this many times over the past couple of years. Clearly it's the one thing that's, with all that's going on right now, a clear-cut direction leading to The Rock would make the most sense. But what if WWE can't get The Rock? I don't think the WWE is going to be able to get The Rock. But what if they can't? Who else could they fit into that WrestleMania match with Roman Reigns? Big E, right? Big E rumored to win the Royal Rumble in 2021. He's probably the odds-on favorite right now. What about Daniel Bryan? He's my choice for WrestleMania, and I made that very well known to everybody on my podcast this past Saturday for episode 348. Bryan versus Roman is the WrestleMania match I want. But if there's anybody that's not affiliated with the Anoa'i family that knows Roman Reigns better than anybody, what if WWE went out there and got CM Punk? What if WWE went out there and paid CM Punk whatever it took to get him to WWE for this storyline, for WrestleMania, making it a truly unforgettable night in Tampa, Florida? The return of CM Punk against Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania. Could it happen? Now, I'd like to think it could happen, but I don't even know anything regarding CM Punk nowadays. In fact, I think that ship has sailed so far off into the distance that I don't think it's ever going to happen anymore. But what if it did happen? Roman Reigns versus CM Punk in the main event for the WWE Universal title at WrestleMania 37. One fan asked Punk a question on Twitter and asked if he would wrestle Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania 37. Punk did not shoot the idea down. Punk had a different idea when he replied, and it said, and I quote, "I do the opening match. That show is 67 hours long." End quote. Now, CM Punk didn't shoot this idea down. He didn't shoot it down. He was being a sarcastic prick like he usually is, which I love. But he didn't shoot the idea down. Does this work? Yes. Does this happen? No, that's a completely different story. Does CM Punk want to work with Roman Reigns? Does CM Punk want to work with WWE? Does WWE want to work with CM Punk? Does it work logistically, storyline-wise? Does it work logistically, financially for all parties involved? It does work. It does work. Because when CM Punk was in the WWE and the Shield first debuted, everybody thought CM Punk was the one man who brought the Shield up to the main roster, and he was leading the Shield. And then if you want to go back even before that happened, it was CM Punk who was affiliated with the Shield, and it was CM Punk who was vocal about Ambrose, Rollins, and not Roman Reigns. It was CM Punk who wanted Chris Hero in the Shield instead of Roman Reigns. And WWE made a decision, nope, we want Roman Reigns. We want Joe Anoa'i in that role, going against whatever CM Punk had brought to the table. They could bring that up per storyline, and that could make for a fantastic feud moving forward. I think that would be all that WWE needs to tell that story. You play off that, you play off the affiliation, you play off CM Punk and Roman Reigns, CM Punk arguing that he's the best in the world, CM Punk arguing that he's the most popular WWE superstar of all time. Roman Reigns is nobody. He was nobody. He was never what the fans wanted. If you can't get Daniel Bryan in that role, WWE won't go with Daniel Bryan, which I think CM Punk and Daniel Bryan probably would have similar storylines going into WrestleMania with Roman Reigns. If you can't get Bryan to do that, and you don't want to book that, and you want to get Punk because Punk is the bigger name and the bigger draw for WrestleMania, making it a major, major spotlighted event, then you could tell the same story with CM Punk that you would tell with Daniel Bryan. Both pretty much have the same paths. That is, until CM Punk walked out of WWE. I think it would be fantastic. He didn't shoot the idea down. If WWE wants it, they could certainly go out there and try. That's the thing they have to do, though. They have to present Punk an offer. How many times has Punk said, I would listen to any offer, just come and talk to me? Nobody wants to take the fucking time, and nobody wants to give this guy the respect that he wants to go and fucking talk to him. If WWE wants it, they could make it happen with the amount of resources they have. They could make it happen. The resources isn't even the thing. You want to bring Punk back for WrestleMania, then you're not going to bring him back for a one-off fucking match that doesn't mean anything, that's going to be forgotten a year later. If you bring this to the table and you say, listen, we're doing this with Roman Reigns, we want you involved, we want you in the grander scheme of things per the storyline, I honestly think he would give it a thought and contemplate that and possibly come back for something this big on WWE television. Let me know what you guys think about that down below. But a CM Punk Roman Reigns match, will it happen? No. Does it make sense? Absolutely. And I could definitely see that being a thing, whether it's this year, next year, or any year Punk wants to come back. Punk versus Roman Reigns is a money match waiting to happen. WWE just has to do the one thing that Punk wants, go and talk to him. Guys, I'm getting out of here. Thank you so very much for all your support. If you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up, sound off down below in the comment section, and please hit that subscribe button down below and become a part of the channel. We are here every single day, live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you so very much for all the support, and I'll see you guys right back here on SmackDown for the post show right here on Off the Script. See you guys later.